Let's talk baseball. You're at Wrigley Field minding your own business, and an expansion franchise broke out for Phoenix. Tell the story.
Well, we were playing the Bulls in the finals back in 92, 93. Charles Barkley was leading our charge, of course, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen for the Bulls. And we had an off night in Wrigley Field, and it was my first night game. Having grown up as a Cub fan, that was a treat. But the warm summer air, the smell of hot dogs and popcorn, and watching that game gave me a little bit of a thrill. And I thought in the back of my mind, wouldn't this be something if we could do this in Phoenix, and maybe we're ready. And, of course, just 2 years later, we were awarded a team. So, it starts somewhere. That's where the seed was planted.
Well, you created your dream in a very short period of time, but then taking the next step with it, you signed Randy Johnson in 99. You get Curt Schilling in 2000 from the Phillies. And a year later, you're beating the Yankees in Phoenix for the World Championship. This is right after September 11.
You couldn't help but think about, some of the ramifications of what was happening, but just think about being in the moment like we were. And by the way, half of the fans in New York who were Mets fans were pulling for us rather than the Yankees. That's a big city. But certainly a lot of the emotion around the country may have been geared toward the Yankees because of the 9/11 situation, but we didn't call for it that way. It just happened that way. That was the year we got there, and it was the year that we were able to win it. And so often in sports, you don't get many shots at winning a championship, a World Series, an NBA championship, and when it's there, you have to capitalize, and fortunately we did.
Not incidentally, the first Major League championship in the history of Arizona. How do you feel about that?
Well, it was the biggest thing that's ever happened in our state in terms of bringing a community together, a state together, and there was some irony in it for me because I've chased an NBA championship my whole life, and although we had great success, Phoenix today, even with the poor years of late, it still has the fourth best record in the history of the NBA, and we were considered a model franchise and on, but no cigar. We didn't win a championship, and then in 4 years, we're the fastest team in the history of baseball to win a World Series. That wasn't lost on me, the irony involved, but I accepted it anyway, Rick.
It is incredibly hard to sustain consistency in the era of free agency today in baseball. We all know that. How did the Giants do it?
I think the Giants have had strong ownership, strong management. They have a plan, and they execute their plan. And I think when you look at most of the successful franchises, you'll see stability at the top, because it always starts at the top. And when you have that kind of stability, you have a chance to be successful over a period of time. I don't believe you weigh success on a 1 year or 2 or 3 year period. How do they do over a period of years, over a decade or more? And the Giants have that kind of a record and track record that indicates that they've had it in pretty good shape.
Well, baseball now is a completely vertically integrated business. Obviously, the long-term partnerships with companies in the Bay Area like AT&T and others, and the media partnerships really important as well, don't you think?
It's very, very important. I remember going way back when naming rights was just a new thing. And what was then called America West Arena, when we built the arena downtown, was the third naming rights deal in the country. And so there wasn't much to pull back on. Syracuse had the Carrier Dome and the Great Western Forum in Los Angeles. And then Arco Arena was pending when we made our deal with America West Airlines. And then, of course, with the ballpark building, I jumped that in a big way, and we had an incredible amount of success in selling about $250 million of corporate sponsorships before we played our first baseball game. And so that's where the sport has evolved. Sports have evolved, that it takes more than just fielding a team on the floor, on the field. It's the whole package.
And there's certain urban areas like the Bay Area that are prolific with corporate partners who want to be involved with a team like the Giants, right?
Big time. And fortunately, when you have a market, like the Bay Area, which has Silicon Valley, and there are big payers or spenders there as it relates to potential corporate sponsorship, you need to capitalize on it. They don't come to you. You need to go to them and sell a story on why it's important for the involvement. One of the things I always believed in is that we never had our hand out in terms of trying to sell a deal. We went to someone, a company, and would say, what can we do for you? We want to increase your traffic. We want to increase your sales. We think we're a vehicle. Here's how we could partner together. And that's the kind of relationship and partnership that ends up being a 20 or 30-year relationship rather than in and out.
Jerry Colangelo, 76 years old. What are you going to do for the next 76 years?
Try to hang on as long as you can, be as competitive as you can. My attitude, I've shared this with you, go as long as you can, as hard as you can, until you can't.
Very well done. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks,
as
Rick.
always. Thanks.